love my music. Welcome to Hello Chaos. It's a weekly podcast exploring the messy and chaotic minds of and lives of founders, entrepreneurs, and innovators. Every week, we talk to entrepreneurs from different industries at different company stages of all shapes and sizes. We hear the real, the raw, the unbiased founder stories, talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, all the parts about being a founder. And it's why our mantra is where aha meets oh shit. We drop new episodes every Sunday so founders can listen in on a Sunday afternoon or Monday morning as they get ready for the week ahead. Hello Chaos is one of the many resources brought to you by Orange Whip. That's Orange Whip WIP for work in progress. Orange Whip is a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities through hyperlocal media platforms that are designed to inform, inspire, and create connections to help founders succeed. Orange Whip is an all-in-one content hub for founders with fresh and engaging stories, curated calendars, and local dynamic roadmaps to help navigate the local entrepreneurial ecosystems. We've done all the hard work for founders. They only need to go to one trusted place to find the local information they need. My name is Jennifer Sutton. My friends and family call me JJ. I am the founder of Orange Whip and will be your host today. And today I'm very excited to have Tracy Newkirk. She's an entrepreneur extraordinaire. She's founder of Human Potential Advisors and president of ICAP Solutions. So welcome, Tracy. Welcome to Hello Chaos.
Well, hello. Yes. Thanks so much for inviting me.
I'm so excited you're here. We go way back, but a lot of people don't know that. But why don't you just start us out and tell us about your entrepreneurial journey?
Ooh, yeah.
Oof, I know.
Oh,
You got to take us back.
Take you back. Well, 5 businesses over the course of, our married life that we've owned together. Believe it or not, one of my very first ones that I owned by myself was house cleaning. I had 13 people that worked for me.
Oh.
Around cleaning houses. Don't recommend. Don't recommend.
That was a true entrepreneurial spirit. You're like, I can do this.
Exactly. I thought I could absolutely do it. We had 9 basketball teams. We ran club teams and created like weekend basketball tournament events. And that was actually fun, but kind of crazy too, because you dealt with parents, right?
Yep.
And then intellectual capital, we've co-owned with my husband for 20 years.
I know. That's been around for a long time.
Long time. Yeah, we've been married 34 this year, but and business 20. So lots of ups and downs with that, lots of learning opportunities.
Yeah.
Human is our 5th, and it's probably my favorite.
Yeah.
It took a while. They say your vocation is inside you.
Yeah.
And you have to create ways in order to draw it out. And it just took me a while to draw it.
Because what Human Potential has been around for 7, 8 years?
Yep. 8
All
years.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you were like, this was inside of me.
It was inside of me. It had to come out. I was already doing it.
Because you were probably doing it for ICAP already.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
First 12 years, and really, I really wanted to name it Unstuck, but it was already
the
brand of Unstuck. And
yeah.
I don't know if you remember that, but I tried that name for a while and realized, I'm in competition. I better stop that. That's really what my heart is, that I want to do, is help people and businesses to get unstuck.
Okay. So is that what inspired you to start the company then? It's like, okay, I've kind of found my inner joy, my inner purpose.
Yeah.
Now, how do I take it outwardly? So what does Human Potential do?
So Human Potential Advisors helps businesses and individuals find their potential.
Okay.
And do it in a variety of different ways. And I purposely wanted to name it Advisors because I'm not a coach. I'm not a therapist. I really advise you. You're the hero of the story, and I'm trying to help your hero be greater, have more potential, whether that's in the business world or just individually or in your marriage. Or in your marriage.
So you're helping coaching through co-founders.
Yeah. Coaching through your challenges. And a lot of those challenges, well, some of them are harms done to you, some of them are harms done by you, right?
Yeah.
And trying to right the ship and help you turn it around and make different choices.
Hi. So, what's been the most rewarding aspect of your journey?
Oh man, I asked this question last night to a group of pacesetters. So it's kind of funny that you're feeding it to
And
me.
I'm like, yeah.
I would say the one for sure. I love career coaching young professionals. I mean,
Really?
there's no money in it. I mean, just Brokeville is
Yeah.
that would be if you were doing it, right? Because they're young, they can't really
They
afford.
can't afford they,
No, I love it though because you're really talking about helping them find their voice and their
mm,
potential and their agency and who they are and calling it out of them and
yeah.
inspiring greatness in them. I love it. I just love it.
Do you, and then you see the light bulb go off?
Yeah, it takes a while for some of them, but seeing the light bulb go off, I know I've been successful when they want to get married and bring their wife back to me and have a session, or they want to write
Whoa.
their family purpose, mission, core values with me.
Yeah.
I know that I've been successful, and it's one of those legacy leaving areas where like I think people will forget what I've said, but they won't forget how I've made them feel and
That's
how
right.
the information changed their life for the better. And that just fires me up. But there's no money in it.
Right.
So I got to go do other things,
That's
right?
right. But you could help that with anybody. I mean, that's kind of like it's finding people's purpose, their joy, their why. And like you said, it's you will never leave. People won't remember what you did. It's how you make them feel. That's what they remember.
Yeah. And really
Um,
how you change their lives for the better
yeah.
by giving them tools, right? And even kind
Right.
of calling it out of them, hey, what's tripping you up? Let's talk about that.
Right. And things that maybe as they, 10 years later when they're sitting in a, corporate environment to go, I'm not happy. Let me go think back what Tracy said to me
Mhm.
back then.
Absolutely.
So, what do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about being an entrepreneur, a founder, of running a business? What is that misconception, and how would you debunk it?
Well, I think most people who've never run a business think there is a specific recipe. And they
It's
think that
good.
their recipe is
Yeah.
the right recipe, their
Right.
theory is the right theory, and that they're like a hammer and they want you to just do it their way, right?
All
And
right.
5 businesses, none of them ran the same way, worked the same way. I mean, probably the only thing we had in common is that we used QuickBooks, and that's about it. And
Okay.
there's no secret recipe to building a business.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think is there any commonalities of like disciplines or methods? They might be slightly different, but is there any commonalities between the businesses other than you need to have a financial operations?
You need to make money. I mean, that's always a
And
good
that's
thing. You need to make some
we
money.
we should. We
You
should.
you
Yeah.
need to be in the black. That's a consistent, yeah, part. Um, yeah, I think, caring about people is consistent.
Mm.
No business works unless you care about people.
Yep.
If you consider them projects or you just consider them transactional, your
Mm.
business is not going to work. Um, I think, having a product that people pay for, that will pay for,
Mm.
is consistent.
Yep.
Um, I meet so many people sometimes and they have great ideas, but no one's ever paid them for it or asked for it.
Right. Well, and
So
it's
it's
yeah.
yeah, it's this beautiful thing of I have this special thing about me and the world needs it and will pay me for it.
Right. Right. It's found in that value proposition of you know, because we run into that too at the marketing agency of people are like, I've got this idea. And it's like, well, does anybody want it?
Exactly.
Does
Is it in demand?
and demand? Can you scale it?
Yeah.
Like,
Are you good at it?
yeah.
I
Uh,
I have a story for you.
yeah.
I work with a young entrepreneur group, of course, and it's all these, 20 people, and they're all coming up with ideas. And so this one gentleman said, I have an idea. I'm going to start a painting company. Cool. Okay. The
Yeah.
world will pay for painting, right? That's good.
Right.
I said, "Are you good at painting?" "No."
Do you like painting?
Do you like painting?" "No." And I'm like, "I'm not sure it's gonna work."
Like, what? Why do you want to get in it?
Right, he ended up with 5 clients, and all of them said, "You did a poor job." So I was like, "Well, there's your answer."
Right.
Right?
I think you need to find something else.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
right.
So
That's right.
I think again, it's this idea of entrepreneurship is easy, and I'll just pick something, and
Mm,
doesn't mean I have to be good at it or be passionate about it, and
yeah, that doesn't work.
it doesn't work.
The life, like I was reading something of like choose your hard of, um, as being an entrepreneur. It's hard.
It
It's
is.
hard being a founder. It's hard, like, but you get to choose that hard. Like, what is it? Is it the the business operations? Because that's going to be hard. You
Yep,
know, the communications part, the marketing part, the people part, like every part, the scaling, customer service, like all that stuff is hard. But you got to choose it, and you got to choose what you're good at. Find other people that's better at things,
yep.
and bring them on board. But this is, yeah, I was talking to another founder. They're like, that 4-day work week book. Yeah, that is not, if you want to run a business, that doesn't even apply
I
to founders of a
No,
business. Like
no, no.
that's not applicable.
It's not. Yeah, it's not. And really people who get in, they start a business so they don't have to work. I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah. I'm like,
Not
that's why I was
familiar.
like, you're just looking for a gig. You're not really looking to build something.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
I do
that's
think that's the thing about HPA, and you probably feel like this, about your business as well, is I would do it even if I didn't get paid.
yeah, because you're passionate about it.
Mhm.
That's right. And like you said, and when you find that and you're good at it, people will pay, there is a value there.
There is.
It's just finding the right audience
Mhm.
of who's willing to do that.
Mhm.
So, okay, can you share kind of your, like, as whether it's been from the cleaning business or like starting ICAP or starting HPA, what was like the greatest aha moment? That, like, that breakthrough moment that had like a significant impact on your business. It was like, "Ah, why didn't I know this before?" Did you I know you had many.
Yeah.
I'm just
I'm
curious.
trying to narrow it down to I think I can give you 2. I'll
Okay.
do the first one about ICAP. I think, ICAP has had several iterations, right? And,
Mm,
I think at first, we were just doing everything that we had to do to make the business run, whether we
okay.
were qualified or good at it, or whether that was, our specialty or not. And about year 10, Barry and I really started investigating our natural talents.
Mm,
And we started realizing that Barry was good at certain things like sales. He's a natural hunter.
okay.
I am good at certain things. I'm patient with the unseasoned. I
Mm,
know I typically can understand what you're saying, even though you don't speak it, right?
right.
Makes
You're
good
the empath.
right, yes.
Yeah.
But and we started saying, you're talented at this, you supply this, and I'm talented at that, I'll supply that.
Mm,
And we will stay out of each other's lanes.
yeah. Were you guys for the first decade, was it challenging having, husband wife team where
Oh,
maybe
100%.
you were in the same lanes?
100% when we
Ugh,
were in the same lanes, or he would discount something or I would discount something, and we're sticking our hands in the other person's hula hoop or their
mm,
lane. That was probably a big aha moment. Matter of fact, our life and business, I don't want to say we doubled in revenue, but almost.
uh,
When we split and began to do 2 separate jobs and leave each other alone that we were naturally qualified to do,
yeah.
our revenue went up, our stress went down.
Wow.
That was a big aha.
Yeah. That's a huge aha.
Huge aha.
Huge.
Yeah, 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 definitely. I think my second aha is that you always have the ability to pivot.
Mm,
And
ah.
what I mean by that is that you try something, say you try it for 90 days.
Mhm.
It works great. If it doesn't, pivot. And that pivot has become one of my favorite things about our business because it's fun. Like
Yeah.
it's fun to go, okay, that didn't work. Hmm. let's think again. Let's try
Problem solve again. Yeah.
problem solve. Let's be creative. Um, let's ask some people for some help. And that
Right.
part of building a business for both of us has been fun. It's the
Really.
pivot, coming up with a new idea,
Huh.
and
Whether
and
it's
basically saying nothing's off the table.
so it gives you kind of that freedom of exploration, freedom of creativity and innovation. Have you
100%.
has that bled down to the rest of the team? Like, is that part of the culture that you
Yes,
guys have developed on
yes.
both businesses?
Bring your brains to work.
Ah,
I say that a lot.
yeah,
And matter of fact, last week in a meeting in ICAP, I said, "Hey, if something's not working, don't continue to do it. Let's
right,
brainstorm and fix the problem. Especially if it, like they were doing this silly procedure and it was taking like 3 hours a week. And I said, how can we cut it to one?
right,
Pivot. How can we
right.
cut it to one?
Or how do
Right?
you
It gets
automate it? Like, is there a
automated.
tool? Is there a tool that we can pay for, $50 and it does it for you? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think that's the part of entrepreneurship I've loved. I've
yeah.
loved the pivot. The okay, we don't have to stick to that. And my husband says, nobody's the boss of us. And we laugh. We're like, nobody's the
Ah,
boss of us. You know?
that's right. That's why we have our own businesses. Ah, so okay, so you guys have learned those are great aha moments. How do you deal with like when you are, I mean, is the whole pivot thing, does that just relieve the stress? Do you have like big challenges and big stressors once you've kind of found that, hey, we can just pivot and explore, or are there things that still loom?
I think that people fall into a trap of this helpless story.
Hmm.
And I think it keeps us out of the helpless story. We're
Ah,
not helpless.
yeah.
Have the ability to change. Nobody is the boss of us. We get to decide how we want to do this differently.
Yeah. Oh,
And
that's
I
great.
think less stress, in my opinion. Now, if you're not very flexible, if you don't have a lot of creative thought,
Hmm.
if you're not of collaborative type of business, I could see how that would add stress.
Yeah. But maybe giving people, entrepreneurs, whoever, all the founders that are listening, this is great advice. It's like, give that freedom to you. Like,
Yes,
just put that mindset in place of you don't have to do it this way.
you
Do
don't.
what works, pivot, try something else, problem solve. That gives just some, based on all the founders that we talk to, sometimes that's like, I don't think they've given themselves the permission to think that way.
I agree.
Uh,
And I do think it's both and. You make a
uh,
choice, stick with it a certain period of time.
yep.
See it out, right? 6
Right.
months, 3 months, a year, I'm not sure. But set a bookend that says if it's not working, we'll change.
Try
We'll
again.
we'll try again.
Do
We'll
something else.
try
Yeah.
different, you know. Um,
Yeah. So, what do you think I would be, or our listeners, or really, because since I know you, what do you think I would be most surprised to find out about you that's not on your resume, that's not on LinkedIn? Like, what is something that people would be really surprised to know about you?
I love to get my hands in dirt.
Like physical dirt, like gardening? Okay.
It's grounding to me, like
Yeah.
gardening, planting my plants. I love the creativity. I'm a super creative person
Mm.
already, but not in art, right?
Yeah.
I can't draw anything. I love to decorate. I love
Yeah.
to put my hands in dirt. I literally went out this weekend, even though I know it's not the 1st of March
I know.
yet. Fresh pansies, and it was so therapeutic. Just
Yeah.
getting hands in that dirt, getting my hands dirty, getting off of screens,
Yeah.
some fresh air. That's probably something you wouldn't know.
That's great. You and I have a lot in common, Tracy. That's like you just spoke to me.
Oh, good. Well, do you like to decorate too?
Oh my gosh. I have like I'm a creative designer, interior designer by heart, not by but yeah, if I didn't do anything else, I should have gone into that field cuz I love it.
Yeah, I do too.
I love it.
In fact, I can show you. See that door right there?
Yeah.
There? That
Yeah.
is the decorator room.
Mm.
And so when you open it up, I have shelves of decorator items, and I go in there and pick it out for seasons, and it's all organized.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mm,
yeah. Mm. That's our love language right there.
yeah. And I think it's the creative process. I teach my clients, I'm a knowledge worker, you're a knowledge
I'm
worker.
a knowledge worker. Yep.
If we're using our brains during the week, then on the weekends we need to use our hands.
Yeah. So
Vice versa.
I paint, and I have 5 large pots on my front porch that I change every quarter.
Yeah.
So that's like my creative engine. I got
Yeah.
to do something
I got
got to
it.
do something with my hands.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now tell us about your oh shit moments. Like what's been the most significant like barrier or challenge that you faced and were like, "Oh my God, what have we done?" And how did you overcome it?
Um, I think there's one or two. I'll share this first with you, and
Yeah.
I'm being pretty authentic here when I share that.
Yeah.
I have, my strengths are empathy, positivity, woo communication, and developer. Well,
Mm.
one thing about woo that you have to understand is loyalty.
Oh,
Well, guess what? We've had up to 17 internal employees, and so clearly people come and go, right?
right,
That's
right, right.
entrepreneurship.
But sometimes it's hard when they
It's
go.
really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard on
Take
this.
it personal.
Yeah, especially when you have woo. On
Yeah.
this one occasion, my computer broke. An employee had left, and everything was fine. And I got her computer, and I had to use it for something. And I saw her text messages, and they weren't
Oh,
very kind towards me. So that's why I said I'm being really authentic. You talk about a
whoa.
moment.
Yeah.
Heartbroken,
Because you
and
had no idea.
no, I
Like
didn't have any
there,
idea.
she had a mask on when it came to you.
Yep, I didn't have any idea.
Uh,
So that was, and I'm just being honest. Like
no, that's
it
yeah.
was,
Because we've all been there. Yeah.
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 So hurtful. But yet at the same time, you know what I learned?
What?
Erase their computer before you get on it.
You're
Right?
like, I need to be in the dark. You're like, I just don't even need to know that.
I
Did
don't.
you do anything with like did you circle back around, or did you say anything like, hey, I wanna obviously I'm not the person, or like, because when you get those situations of, wow, they see me in a way that's not me. Like, how did they not see what's in my heart, my soul? And they've got a picture of me that's not me.
Well, and it was her text messages, that what
Yeah.
she did to her computer. So that was a moment for me where I really had to dig deep and say that I'm going to move forward and be who I am,
Mm.
even if I'm standing by myself.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Um, and put in some other, good, healthy things in place. Right. So yeah, now the truth is now I hire,
Now you're like, I wipe the computers.
yeah, I wipe the computers, but also now I hire a lot of 1099s, and I
Ah,
get along great with them because I'm driven, I'm fast paced.
yeah.
We get along great. They have their own business. I have their own business. Their
Right.
business help my business. I will help their business.
That's
Works.
right.
So I really changed the model of how I even hire after that.
Wow. And you have to do that. Yeah.
Sometimes.
So what was the other one? What was the other one?
The other one was COVID, which I mean, I know everyone
Oh,
says that, right?
ugh. Heck.
It was
That's
it was
not, that was hard.
it
That
was
was hard
hard.
for
It was hard. I had an employee that came to me in December and said, "Hey, do you think as a recruiter I could work from home?" And I was shallow enough to say no. 3 months later, everybody's working from home,
right,
right?
right, right.
But
It,
here's what was good about it, COVID, is we really dug into our values as a company and stood by them, and
mm-hmm.
that made me feel good,
Yeah,
right? We didn't let anyone go. We were able to keep everyone employed throughout the year. That was really important to us, and that felt good, even though it was hard
yeah,
to align ourselves and say, "All right, are these our values? Are we going to live by them or not?"
right. Yeah, we did the same thing. That's, and I think we saw the most change, not necessarily like 2020. We're like, hey, look, everybody's safe. Like,
Yeah,
just put that out of your mind.
yeah,
Like, everybody's safe. We're going to work through it. we're going to be loyal to everybody.
Yeah.
But it was interesting for us. I don't know if you experienced this because we're both knowledge-based, service-based businesses. Um, it was the year or two after COVID. It was the 2022, 2023 where mindsets changed.
Yeah.
Um, how people show up to work. What does loyalty mean?
Yeah.
Very different of what we saw post COVID than pre COVID. And so we had to do a double down. Like we went through an exercise last year for the marketing agency for Bright. Was we went back to, let's redefine who we are. What are our values? Who are we? Like truly, what are the traits and the type of people work that fit in
Mm-hmm.
to our team? And we and are we doing business the way we want to do business? And we compared it to our 10 years ago. Of it was our vision and our mission and our value proposition was pretty much all the same. We kind of came, but we really buttoned up and and changed just slightly, but our traits, our values, we defined them, I think, better. And that has given us, we interview differently. We uh, we talk to ourselves differently. So it was just, yeah, I don't know about you. That was like my aha moment.
Yeah, it was rough, but yet
Whew,
we have pivoted
yeah,
and been creative
yeah.
and come out on the other side, I think even better.
I feel the same way. Like
Yeah.
I see the light at the end of the tunnel of like, we're going to be better and stronger in the longer term
Yeah.
of what we learned. No, that's good.
100%.
So if you had to hit rewind on anything, not that I'm not talking about regrets or anything, but if there's anything that you would do differently, like the things that you know now, if you knew that now, what would you do differently back then?
Hmm.
Like unstuck, would you have gone, maybe I should have trademarked that?
Yeah, exactly. I think it was already trademarked.
Ah,
I know. It's great name, great name. I think lanes are important. I think understanding our lanes sooner, understanding how personality assessments can really help people to get in the right lane, be on the right seat.
yeah.
I
Those are
would
powerful. So
very,
powerful. Yeah.
yeah. I think I would, if I could rewind to the beginning of ICAP, say 20 years ago, I think that's something we would have employed. I think we would have been successful quicker,
Hmm.
and happier for sure.
Yeah. The stress level between husband and like the spouse.
Yeah, 100%. I
Yeah.
also think, being creative, since COVID, we've gotten really creative how we employ people. And I shared with
Hmm.
you about the 1099s and
Yeah.
we use a lot of fractional
Yeah.
employees. I wished I knew now then what I know now.
Yeah.
You don't always have to hire W-2s.
Right.
I mean, that's not always the answer.
It
And
does.
I just didn't know that at the beginning 20 years
Yeah.
ago. So those are two.
Well, and I think that's also something that wasn't really preached 20 years ago
Yeah.
of that it was, you have to have, you have, because I think that there was a mindset of you, which is bad because I still hear this, among like, larger companies of, no, you have to have a W-2 because you own them. And I'm like, oh, no,
Well,
you don't. But like,
that was outlawed many years ago.
that's
But
right. Like,
yeah,
no, they're not any more loyal to you than a 1099.
no.
Um,
The other thing is offshore recruiting. I think I
oh,
had maybe a negative offshore workers, excuse me. I
yeah,
maybe had a negative idea about that, and I am absolutely all about it now. There are more ways to skin a cat when you need employees than just W-2 employees.
yeah.
There's a variety of
That's
interns,
right. That,
right? Lots of different ways.
that's right. What we talk about like networking. I mean, you're as part of being an entrepreneur, how do you, or any advice that you give of how do you build relationships? How do you build connections? I mean, networking comes to mind, but you're all about relationships and like finding people's strengths. How do you recommend doing that for people that's not comfortable for them?
I think serving.
Uh,
I
okay.
I would venture to say I think serving is always better than even networking. Like join some boards.
So because you're the chamber president this year.
No,
Congratulations. Oh, no,
chair elect.
chair elect. So you'll be next year.
Yeah, that's Carlos Phillips is the president, and then we're Jessica Donan's chair this year, and
Okay.
I'm
And
elect
then
next
chair elect.
year. Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
There's so many nonprofits here in town that are really doing some great work.
Yeah.
I think networking that way about joining together side by side, shoulder to shoulder with somebody is a great way to meet people. I also think joining just different committees that you can, even if it's, for instance, we're in North Carolina IT tech, we're in
Right.
South Carolina IT tech, we're in the Georgia IT tech, we're in Florida IT tech. That's a great way to meet people,
Right.
find people with similar interests that are doing the same thing as you. And this is going to be super unpopular for me to say, make friends with your competitors.
Yeah.
They're
Why wouldn't you?
they're wonderful. I
That's
mean,
right.
you know what I mean? And they can't do some work. There's plenty of work.
That's
There's
right.
abundant amount of work for all of us, but they might throw something your way, you might throw something their way.
That's right.
I think that's another way to get to know people. So,
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm in a community group of marketing agency owners
mhm,
across like that is some one of my favorite you know group to get to, because we're all dealing with the same crap and so it's like okay, and it's the same thing with like being a founder and being a part of a community of finding people that are like-minded or like-missioned.
yeah,
And I love the suggestion of being a part of boards and committees. Not like every community has nonprofits that
everyone.
struggle
Mhm,
with getting people on their boards. And I would say the only thing I would recommend, because being, you know, you've been a leadership on different organization boards. I've been president of certain chairman of boards. I would say my biggest feedback would be find a board. Not Don't do it as a resume builder. Do it truly as a mission based,
yep,
cause based, because you're going to help that organization out because you have some passion for their cause. Versus, I've been a chairman of the board and there's 30 people on this board and 20 people never show up. We never hear their voice, and
yeah,
it's because they're just doing it for a resume builder. I'm like, that doesn't help us.
it
That
does.
doesn't help the organization. So
It
if you're going to put your time and energy in something, do it. That is that is because it's a cause that you're passionate for, and help that organization out.
100%.
Um,
Yeah, you love dogs, go volunteer at
go
the
at the
humane,
humane shelter. Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Go but that's a good advice. Like how it's not just about going to events and networking. There's other ways to build connections and resources, and you're doing a lot of stuff online too. LinkedIn has groups, but all these association and organizations, even in your own industry.
100%.
Um,
I'd also say book clubs. I know, we did a management book
oh
club.
yes, I'm gonna tell you, I loved it, and I know I did. I kind of fell off towards the end, but I was still reading the books.
Yeah, that's another way, like,
Yeah,
there's so many book clubs in town, your library has an
yeah.
offer, like, if you love to read, join a book club. There's
Or start one,
or start
or
one,
start your own. Yeah,
and that's another way to meet other like-minded people that are similar to you.
that's right. Oh, I love it. Um, we talk about in one of the Orange Whip editions, we do a monthly edition that are in 3 cities in South Carolina today. We had one, our past, it was on talent and workforce development, which that's like in your sweet spot.
Mhm,
What are you seeing? We kind of talked about the post-COVID, kind of how people are thinking, and you've talked about like just different ways being creative of how you recruit. But talent and workforce development is a challenge for a lot, especially small business or I call scale ups, people that are really trying to grow. What are you seeing as like the biggest trend?
Well, the truth is America has more jobs than we have people.
Yeah.
And we're not going to catch up, right?
Right.
We have more opportunities, which is why people want to come to America than we have people to fill the jobs, right?
Yep.
So that means you have to be creative because probably everybody that we would poll who owns a business, they're all understaffed.
Right.
Everyone is, right? So it's getting creative, it's merging positions, it's eliminating maybe your products, right? Simplifying the products, figuring out which ones are making money, which ones are not. Those are a few ideas. I also think what else I'm seeing in the workforce has to do with generations. For instance, I just led a training class on expectations and feedback before I got on this call.
Okay.
And what I'm seeing specifically is the command way of leading is not working anymore. And we've got to have a more, instead of a push approach, we've got to have a pull approach.
Yeah.
In our ways that we relate to people we manage. That's something big that I'm seeing, and I'm not sure that we are addressing it enough and giving people the tools of how to pull information rather than push information.
Well, we've seen that, when we do a lot on the marketing side, we do a lot of employee engagement surveys and stuff, and it's the beginning manager or that middle manager that becomes like the greatest gap or weakness in most organizations. It's because, and I think one of our books that we read, which was one of the best books, and it's the one that was about the managers.
Yeah.
Because nobody trains how to manage. Like most people get promoted and go, yes, I want to be, I become a manager or director or department head because you're doing a great job of whatever that job is. But then you get put into these positions of management and no one has given you any tools of how to truly manage people. And what was that book called? Do you remember what the book I'm talking
about? Yeah.
That was like, you talk about, that was last year, right? That we read that. That was like that whole book was my aha.
It's a textbook, right? It's a textbook. 3 out of 10 people are natural born managers. 3 out of 10 are naturally born to be a manager. The rest of us have to be trained, right? So let's embrace it. And I think creating opportunities to train these middle-level managers is a real gap in the workforce. We've got to do a better job at giving them the tools. Just because you're an individual contributor does not mean you're going to be a great people manager.
Right.
It does.
Right. And also I think for, startups or founders that it's like maybe you and like 5 people and you're running the business, you're in the business and you're trying to manage people. That book is like, oh, you start rethinking of as you start to scale to go, what really is my gift?
Yes.
Am I really a people manager? Because maybe I need to get somebody that's really running the business. And maybe your gift is running, being the people person or vice versa. Like everybody get into the lane that they're, but that book was so great. Even how they describe like what management is,
Mm-hmm. And Jennifer, let's just give ourselves permissions as CEOs. I think one thing I wish that I could tell people too is that if you run a company, you're an idea person.
Right.
That is normal. We've got to stop getting upset when CEOs act like CEOs or owners act like owners. They have ideas. They're creative, right? They're climbing the tree and looking out and seeing into the future. And that means that they need a number 2 who is instead of is high up in the sky, they're basically looking at the employees.
They're the grounded ones.
They are. They're going, okay, well, here's what we need to do for this, and here's the policy, and here's the consistency. It really does take 2 of us to run a business well, and letting each of us be in our own lanes. But I do get frustrated sometimes and have to give some education around That's what you want them to do.
Right.
You want JJ to be creative and be thinking of new ways that her business can work. That's what you want.
Right. Right. And not be beat up for it.
Right. And not get beat up for it.
Oh my gosh, you've been given great advice. This is so good. But what's the best advice that you received from somebody else? That received from a mentor, or maybe a book or whatever, that really influenced your own decision making that you put into practice?
Oh, I love quotes. So I'll just use the quote that I used today because
Yeah.
sometimes it's by the day, right?
Right, right, right.
Managing ambiguity is essential for effective leadership.
Oh, that's a good one.
It is. And I think that there's a lot of ambiguity that we're not addressing as
Yep.
leaders. And we've got to do a better job of managing that, both our own and our employees.
Yes. And I don't remember if this is something, I heard you talk on this subject. But it was about when you're giving feedback to people, that clarity is actually kind.
Mm-hmm.
Was it candor? Candor in giving feedback, especially around performance. It's actually you're being kind to them because you're helping them grow.
Mm-hmm.
That when you're either not prepared for a performance review or you're not giving clear feedback that is actionable, you're actually doing that person a very and it yes negative. Don't consider it negative. It's more constructive, but oftentimes we're afraid to give bad feedback. And
Well,
it's like,
we don't
well,
want to
no,
lose.
we need it.
They're too
Yeah.
hard to hire, you know?
They're too hard to hire, or to even like get feedback from customers and clients to go. And sometimes clients are like, oh, I don't want to tell them that. But it's like, no, we will never get better. Like,
Mhm.
I need to know.
Mhm. Yeah, I really am trying to embrace that feedback is the breakfast of champions, that I get better with feedback.
Yeah.
And, you know, building a feedback culture, just that your employees get used to consistent feedback. There's nothing a surprise. There's another quote I have here that I just have put into the room as we're talking about it. And it, hold on, I'll find it because I thought this was so good. It basically said, feedback that surprises won't stick because of how much it stings.
Ooh, say that again. Say that again.
Feedback that surprises will not stick because of how much it stings.
Oh, that's a good one.
It is. And that's why that consistency and that culture of feedback and you asking for feedback as
Right.
the owner and the manager, and then as well as giving. It's not a one-way street.
That's
It's
right.
really a dialogue.
It has to be. It has
Mhm.
to be. Because again, we'll never grow,
We
both
won't.
as people or as your business.
Mhm.
So I know, okay, we talked about a lot of books, but is there like a book or maybe another podcast? I know Hello Cass is your favorite. You've got it on,
100%.
favorites, 100%. But is there a book that you're like, everybody must read this book? Because you're a reader like me. I could list off like a dozen, but is there just like this one book that you're like, this was a game changer?
I've got my top 5
Well,
books of
say
my
them.
life, right? But
Yeah.
if you follow me on LinkedIn, you've probably seen those. Right now, I just finished a book called The 7 Primal Questions. And
Oh,
I think it's new to the workforce, and I think it's going to I think it's going to really help.
it's going to open up some dialogues.
The
Okay.
premise is that we're always looking for our primal question to be answered yes, and that when it's answered no, we will avoid.
Oh,
Fascinating work. I'm just starting on it, so
yeah.
I love that. That's one I think anybody could use in the workforce, and it would be beneficial. You could literally read it and use it the next day.
Okay.
The other book is a fiction book that I just finished, and it's called Theo of Golden. It's written by a local author. He mentions Greenville, South Carolina, which is cool.
Yeah.
Fantastic
And it's
book.
called Theo
Theo of Golden.
of Golden.
And
Okay.
fantastic book, and it is about really seeing people as humans and not projects.
Ah,
Loved it.
well, that's a good takeaway for just anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
It-
Um, so what advice, any other advice you would give to founders, entrepreneurs, business of like, if they're trying to scale up, if they're just trying to get unstuck, what's the last piece of advice you'd give them?
I just say remember that you have potential and that nothing's over till it's over. Um, it's a lonely place, this entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah, it is. We're
It's
isolated sometimes.
isolated, and we can forget that we're in seasons.
Mm. Oh, that's good.
So I would just say keep on keeping on.
Yeah,
What you have to offer the world is important and needed, and don't forget that.
that's right. Move forward. Just
Mhm,
keep moving.
mhm.
Oh, that's great advice. And I'm shocked that we're out of time. Always amazed at how fast these things go. Tracy, I love our conversations. Where do you want people to connect with you? How do you want people to, to engage with you?
Yeah, love for you to find me on LinkedIn, Tracy Newkirk, or our website is www.humanpotentialadvisors.com, and we have a contact page there as well as our services. If you need IT support, we'd love to help you. That's intellectual capital, capital with an O, not an A, because we are the place that smart people gather.
Aha.
Would love to have you if you're looking for a job or need some IT talent to let us know.
Fantastic. I love it. And for everyone listening or watching to us live, thank you for joining. Again, this podcast will be published this coming Sunday and available on all podcast platforms. So subscribe to Hello Chaos, like, comment, and share, and let us build a more connected entrepreneurial community. Hello Chaos, again, is one of the many resources brought to you by Orange Whip. That's Orange Whip, WIP for Work in Progress. Orange Whip is a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities. We are 100% free. Just an email to join the community. Again, it's a one-stop content hub. And we are currently in 3 areas of South Carolina, the upstate, Midlands, and Low Country, with goals to expand to be in 30 cities in 5 years. Check out this coming. We have got a new edition dropping for Orange Whip in these 3 areas of South Carolina this coming Sunday. It is on the subject of honoring and featuring minority and women-owned businesses. So fantastic story, stunning photography. Subscribe and support us. Again, it's free. Find your city and enjoy. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast or support us, send an email to hello@orangewhip.com. Y'all, thank you for tuning in into Hello Chaos. It's where aha meets oh shit. And I am your host, Jennifer Sutton. JJ, I will see you again next week.